Hello, everybody. I'm Renee, in case we haven't met before, and I'm a nutritionist, and I help women just like you who are sick of dieting, who are confused about their emotional eating. I basically help you figure out your behavior around about your eating habits and instead formulate a positive relationship with food and, most importantly, yourself. So if you have landed here today, this is one of my weekly videos that I do. And today is episode number 9, and we're talking about health. Specifically, I have a question for you, and it is, what is your definition of health? Now, the reason why I am delving into this one today is that it's probably a question that you really haven't had much thought into. And I mean, I'm sure that if you've signed up at a gym or maybe seen a dietitian, nutritionist, health coach, or anything kind of in that health realm, I guarantee that one of the first questions that would have been asked is, what is your health goal? Right? So that's kind of another way of saying, what is your definition of health and what is it that you're prioritizing in order to achieve that? Now, was your response something like, I want to drop 5 kilos. I want to, drop 2 dress sizes. I want to be able to run 5Ks nonstop. Something along those lines, because they're the pretty common ones. It's something about what you look like or something related to your physical health. Very rarely does the response involve something about your mental or social well-being. So that's why I really want to talk about this today, because I want to tease out of you your definition of health that goes a little bit deeper than just the physical. Because I think too often we're taught within our society that's all about what you look like, what you can achieve, and constantly trying to push health onto you, when in actual fact, you may already be a perfectly healthy person and you don't need to be stressing or worrying about it too much. So that's why I really want to delve into this, because I want you to come up with your own definition, your own set of rules, your own set of markers and goals, so that you can understand where things might be off for you in your health. And it's just not all about whether you can fit into a certain pair of pants or not. Okay? Does that sound good? I really like this topic. This is a really great one. So let's dive straight in. Now, before I start, I'm going to read the definition of the World Health Organization's definition of health. And I actually really like this one. So I'm going to read it to you. So the definition is, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. The enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being, without distinction of race, religion, political belief, economic, or social condition. It's a pretty good definition, hey? Kind of covers everything. But what I want to do is take you to that first sentence. I'm going to say it again. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. 3 components there. Did you see that it's not just about your physical? It's just not about what you look like or what your body can do. There's those 2 other components that are really important. And I think that those 2 often get forgotten about, or they don't seem as important because there's so much emphasis placed on what we look like. And, people making judgment calls about whether you're healthy or not purely by what you look like, whereas that actually is not accurate at all. So here is what I would like you to do as a bit of a reframing and thinking, is I want you to think about those 3 components. So the social, physical, social well-being, the mental, and the physical components of health. So I want you to think about those 3 for a moment. And I just want to say that a really important thing, and this is my take on this definition, is that I don't think it's necessarily important to have perfectly even amounts of all 3. So I don't think it's important that you have exactly 1/3 physical, 1/3 social well-being, and 1/3 mental at all times for health. I don't think that's necessary. But what I do believe is that there's certain times of your life where one of those three may take precedence or priority over the other two. And that doesn't mean that you're not healthy and not honouring your health. It means that you're probably listening to what you need right now. So I want to give you an example because I think this is something that people struggle with because of such an emphasis on the physical side. So let's say you've gone on a vacation or a holiday and you are just spending some really quality time with your loved ones, you're relaxing, you're really taking care of yourself. You're probably going to be feeling more of that social well-being, spending time with your family, and probably components of your mental. So that's probably taking a little bit more precedence. On the other side, maybe your physical needs at that point in time aren't really a priority. So maybe you're not exercising every day like you normally would or as often. Maybe you're not, sticking to the kind of meals that you usually would prepare for yourself. You're just kind of being a little bit more relaxed and ad hoc or just eating whatever's available. But you're still honouring your health in those other two components. Now, the reason why I want to point this one out is often people get very hard on themselves when maybe they take their eyes away from a physical focus on health and start to look at the other two. You don't need to worry about that. You are still doing amazing things for your health if you are filling it up from a social well-being and a mental, because you know that at some point it's going to swing back a little bit more to that physical once you feel as though those other two have taken priority. That's the same too that, if you need to take time out and maybe see a therapist, you put your hand up and go, I'm a little bit more stressed. You may be taking a huge chunk out of that mental side and not really following so much on the physical components. You might not be honouring your nutrition or your exercise as much because you just need to focus on just feeling good and going and seeing a therapist and, really honouring what makes you feel good. And sometimes the physical component may not be there. And the flip side, there's actually nothing wrong if your physical side does take up a larger chunk. Maybe you are training for a specific event, or maybe you're just really loving the kind of activity and sports and exercise that you're involved in at the moment. So you're spending a lot of time doing that. You don't really have time for hanging out with maybe some of your friends or family as much. You're still doing it. And maybe your mental health side is actually feeling really good as a result of that physical exercise or the way that you're nourishing. But that's kind of taking a little bit more priority because that is your goal for the moment. Maybe you're really trying to nail some new recipes and being more prepared with meals because you know that actually helps you in the long run with feeling good throughout the week. So can you see how things can kind of fluctuate? And that can change on a weekly basis, monthly, whatever kind of things are going on for you at that point in time. And I think it's really important for you to think and understand that just because you might be slipping away in some other areas, you're still doing amazing things for your health if you're honouring 1, 2, or 3 of those. Okay? So, of course, I'm not saying that you should have everything in one of those and it's okay if you've got 0 in the others. I think it's important to kind of have some aspects of all 3, but don't be put off if you find that you're kind of a little bit skewed one way or the other at some point. That just might mean that that's something that you need in that point in time. Okay, I hope that made a little bit of sense for you, but here's the exercise that I'd like you to try. So I want you to get a piece of paper or type something up on your laptop, whatever it happens to be, and I want you to make 3 columns. So the column headings are going to be physical, mental, and social well-being. So physical, mental, social well-being, 3 columns. Now what I'd like you to do is write down all of those under each heading, which ones to you do you believe are helpful for you under each of those categories. So, for example, under physical, you might go, I feel healthy when I go for a walk for 30 minutes. I feel really healthy when I make a really lovely meal that, tastes amazing and is really nourishing. I feel really healthy when I'm able to go for a 5K run and not even think about it. All those things. Some of those things you might be doing right now. Some of those things you may have done previously, or some of those things might be things that you would like to do, or that's kind of in your mind, your definition of health. Whatever it is, I want you to write it down. Mental, it might be things like my definition of health, or what is helping me with my mental side is, I'm able to meditate. I'm able to sit and read a book. I'm able to go for a walk in nature. I regularly see a therapist. I keep up to date with any prescription medication I need for my mental well-being. All of those kind of things that you see as fitting really well into honouring your mental health. And then the social well-being, that might be more around, spending quality time with family or friends, going and being part of a community group, being part of a sporting group, volunteering at something in my community, hanging out with my dog, whatever it happens to be, that's kind of part of that social well-being, that when you do it, or if you did it, would actually contribute to you feeling healthy, you being healthy. Now, you might find that there's some overlap in those. So, for example, there might be a particular meal that is really nourishing and honouring your physical health, but it's something that you really enjoy to have with your friends. So it kind of covers off on that social well-being. So that's okay if there's things that kind of overlap with, might be a little bit of exercise, but it's kind of a little bit of, mental health as well, or social well-being. Just kind of put it in the category that you think is mostly part of that, and it's going to be individualized for you. Okay, so those three categories. And remember, this is your list. This isn't some list that you go, oh, well, I feel like this is what I should be putting down, but it's not really what I think. It doesn't really fit with me. It's not really my thing. No, I'm getting you to really start to kind of tap into what is important to you and what you see as beneficial for your health, not somebody else. This is purely your list. Okay, so those three columns, write it all down. Now, what I'd like you to do once you've done that, take a step away, have a drink of water, leave it for a day, whatever you need to do, or do it straight away. Come back, and I want you to maybe with a pencil or a highlighter, or if you've got it on your laptop, you can just kind of, highlight something. What I want you to do is identify what it is that you're currently doing, like right now. So in each of those. So if you know that you're somebody that goes for a walk 30 minutes, that you do that, a couple of times a week. That you're somebody that meditates a couple of times, or maybe you do like to read a book for your mental health, and that you regularly catch up with friends for coffee, and that contributes to your social well-being and probably your mental health as well. Just tick all those things off that that you're doing. Then I want you to have a look at it and go, do you notice, is there more of an emphasis in one column than another? Is it a pretty even spread? Is it a surprise to you what you find that you're doing? Is it something that, is it what you thought, really? And the purpose of this is I want you to look at it objectively. I don't want you to look at it and be hard on yourself and go, oh my God, I'm not doing enough, or I've got far too much in this column, or whatever. I kind of want you to reframe it and go, look at it and go, well, I'm actually doing some things for my health already. I'm already contributing to some components here. But if you do find that there is a column that might have more ticks than, say, another one, then I ask you to take another step and see what's going on for you in your life right now. Like, is there a reason why there is more of a focus on the physical component and the others don't really have enough? Is it actually something that kind of makes sense? Or is it somebody else's definition of health that might be influencing that? So this is where I want you to start to go, well, this is your definition. This is what you're currently doing. Is it actually matching where you are right now in your life? And do you feel that it's actually honouring what your true health goals and aspirations actually are? So by having a look at it like that, if you notice that it's a little bit out of a line and you're like, that actually doesn't really make a lot of sense, that I'm kind of all up in the physical column and I'm not really doing much in the other two, or maybe I'm doing way too much in the social. I'm actually not doing much for my physical or mental health, but I'm doing a lot of social stuff. Is there a way that you can maybe start to go, well, can I even it a little bit? Now that I'm kind of looking at it from this, 3-tier rather than just a 1-tier version of health, is there a way that I can start to incorporate some of those other definitions of health from the other columns into my life to kind of round it out a little bit? Okay, so this is now actually taking some actionable steps based off your definition of health on what you think is important to you and your health goals for each column. Okay, so just to summarize that, you've got your 3 columns: physical, social well-being, and mental. You have written down all of the definitions to you under each column. You've now gone through and you've ticked through what you're currently doing. And now you've taken an objective look and gone, well, is there more ticks in one or the other? And does that make sense for me right now? Is that actually aligned with how I'm feeling? Or is it somebody else's perception of health or pressure or other things that are kind of making me not pay so much more attention? What is it for me? Take that time to really ask the question. And then the actionable step is, can you incorporate some other aspects of that health to kind of make it a little bit more round for you, so you're not just favouring one column over the other? Is that something that you're able to do? And if it's not, if you really do need to honour purely your mental health right now and the other 2 are away, that's perfectly fine. Just know that list is there ready for you when you feel as though you can start to maybe take on some of those other things. And of course, I'm not asking you to go through and do all of those things at once, but maybe just pick one from each column that you might be able to add into just for this week or 2. Just one. I don't want you to go through and exhaust yourself. So does that make sense? We're kind of really having this visual look at the 3 components of health to get you to see that it's not just about your physical. It's not just about what you look like. It's not just about what you eat. There are so many other components of health that you're probably already doing or you are aware of, but maybe you didn't think it was as important because it's not really going to make you lose weight, or it's not going to make you eat a certain way, which is often how we perceive health to be. Okay. So I hope that was clear for you. So I just want to give you some ideas of what not to do. I don't want you to be hard on yourself. I've already mentioned that. I don't want you to see this list as a list of failures of what you're not doing. I would prefer that you reframe it and look at the things that you are currently doing and be proud of yourself that you are now aware of the things that you can start to do. I don't want you to be hard on yourself and go, oh my gosh, I really should have been doing this and I can't believe I haven't done that, and I'm such a bad mother, I'm such a bad wife, I'm such a bad this and bad that. No, stop it. And if you find yourself starting to go down that path, I want you to stop, breathe, take some time out, and then come back to yourself with some kindness and compassion, okay? See this list as the possibilities and the start of your new reframing of health rather than a list of the things that you haven't done or your failures. I don't want you to do that at all, okay? So that's the first thing. And I don't want you to try and do too much too quickly, because again, that can set you up on this whole, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. I have to be trying to do it all. No, I'm trying to get you to honor what you're already doing and maybe just adding one or two other things in if you feel that is going to honor your health and if you feel as though that is capable for you, right? My list is going to look completely different to your list. And what I am capable of doing right now is going to look completely different to what you are capable of doing right now, right? Think of this like your fingerprint. It's unique, it's completely yours, and it's completely up to you how you decide to structure it. It's more about awareness and coming up with your own definition that goes a little bit deeper than what maybe you have previously looked at before. Okay, so they're the things of not to do. This is not an exercise on being harsh. It's about bringing out another side of health and thinking for you, so you can just, really understand that you're probably doing some amazing things already. So I want to give yourself a round of applause, a pat on the back. If you're even just doing one thing from each of those columns, that is fantastic. Right? This is my pep talk for you today. You're doing fantastic, all right? So take that from me for today. So that's all I really wanted to talk about today, that definition of health, what it means to you. And this is something that I that I work with my clients in the first initial consultation. But as I said, it's not just that surface level, health goal orientated. We kind of go that next level and really kind of tease out this definition of health and what that means for you. So if this is something that you would like to work on with me, I offer packages to work with me over 6 weeks or 12 weeks. Both offer payment plans or upfront incentives as well if you'd prefer to go that way. So get in touch with me or visit my website for more details because I'm here willing and able to help you out if you would like me to help you specifically and guide your way towards your definition of health. So I hope that's been of use for you today, and I look forward to chatting to you next week. And if you have any questions, send me an email, get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, bye for now.